Alyssa Al-Hadaf.
Meadow Pollock. Gina Montalto.
Jamie Guttenberg.
Carmen Schentrup.
Elena Petty.
Kara Lochran.
Alex Schachter.
Aaron Weiss. Scott Beagle.
Martin Duque.
Nick Dworet.
Chris Hickson. Luke Boyer.
Joaquin Oliver.
Elena Ramsey.
Peter Wing.
Life is filled with challenges. We learn that in school. We also learn that some challenges are greater than others, much greater. In fact, some are unthinkable. Even now, years later, we're still confused by it all, wondering, how can this be? Why here? We grapple with the sadness, the overwhelming finality, and the what-ifs. Causes have been taken up. Volunteerism abounds. Some even say progress has been made. And maybe it has. But still there is a void in our community that nothing can fill. A void that is 17 times larger than any void should ever be. And so we remember all of them, as if it were possible to forget. The smiles, the laughter, the friendship, the love, the talent. Because somehow, some way, these 17 have pulled the rest of us closer. All of us. We are closer because of them.
I think it's important that the Parkland community thinks about those 17 individuals. Some members of the Parkland community knew them. They hung out with them at school. They went to their place of worship. They went to their workout, studio. So it's remembering the contacts and remembering the way that person lived and concentrating on what were the good things about that person. When we lose someone, it's like we just want other people to provide us an opportunity to talk about them. Talk about the way they lived, not how they died, but just keeping that person's memory alive.
When we remember them, we are one. When we grieve, we are one. And on this day, especially on this day, we are one.
The vast majority of Americans and people in Parkland are really good, caring individuals that have a common set of values, whether it comes from a place of worship, whether it just comes from As a person, I believe in compassion, kindness, helping others, doing what I can to make our community better. And when a tragedy like this happens, I think it brings out that common set of core values of compassion and caring and community and connections that's really important. And I think that's what the 17 victims have done.
There have been many difficult days without them, and there will be many more. Our community has answered the question, how can you miss something you never had? We miss 17 futures. We miss 17 brilliant lights shining brightly for others to see. Lights that had only begun to flicker.
When a child is killed, we have lost the future. And that, I think, is much more difficult for us to accept than when an elderly person dies. It's certainly very tragic and very difficult for all their loved ones and their co-workers. But when a child is killed, we've lost the future that they would have had. And you know, this would be one of the things that very much would be on the mind of all these families as we approach the 3rd anniversary. They'd be thinking about, they would have been a senior by now, or they'd be thinking about he might have gone to Florida State as he had planned, or as the years progress, they'll think about the career that their child might have had, or we'll think about a teacher who was killed and the grandchildren that they won't see. These are all the issues that are so important for these families.
And yet, though they cannot be here, even in their absence, they have inspired so much.
Really what the families are doing, they're searching for meaning. They're searching for how can we do something in memory of our loved one that might prevent a future mass shooting. How can we help schools feel safer? How can we make changes in our society? And to be honest, most of the prevention in this country is actually driven by survivors. Those that lost a loved one, whether it was a suicide or a car accident or a mass shooting, they want to make a difference. And I applaud every one of the families, and I think almost all of them have started foundations in memory of their child and or their spouse or their brother or sister. It is a way that essentially they can keep the memory of their loved one alive, but feel like they're doing something that helps everyone who's still on this earth.
It's as though we've been held up these last few years, held up on 17 shoulders for the world to see who we really are, to see that yes, we've been sad at times, but we're also strong. We are resilient, and we are immensely proud. And in our weakest moments, when we contemplated giving up, we knew they were watching. Now the world seems different. Or perhaps it's that we are different.
There's a quote in the literature that goes something like this: life breaks all of us, but afterwards, some of us are stronger in the broken places. And I think that's true for communities. I think that's true for some of the parents and some of the spouses that lost loved ones. And they've spoken out. You know, they've taken a stand. They have found meaning. Some of the things they've spoken out on are, you know, difficult for Americans to hear.
But on this day, what we think of most are their names, their memories, and what they meant to us.
February 14th will never be the same for those families. You know, sometimes the term celebration is used, but really it's more of a day of memory. It's a day of remembrance. It's very important to remember those 17 names. It's important to think about their families. The commemoration date, February 14th. What should we say to these families that lost loved ones? We need to be careful not to ask them too many questions. It's more about, I'm here for you. I'd like to come be with you. I'd like to come to your house. Could I bring your family some food? Could we go for a walk this afternoon? Just reaching out, staying in a listening mode, and never saying those words, I understand. To say instead, I can't imagine how difficult this is for you. But just restate, I am here for you. I guess what I wish for the families, I wish them peace and comfort. I wish them courage as they face all the things that are ahead. And I know they're going to keep their lost loved one forever in their heart.
As we remember, we look to the heavens and think of so much more than we ever thought would remain. Because what their memory means to us personally, in some ways, is dwarfed by what their legacy means to our community.
I believe that would be a wonderful thing if associated with those 17 victims, prevention, mental health, caring for the Parkland community. That really is what I would like to see the legacy be. Increased safety, increased mental health services, increased caring and connections in our community.
Some of us may remember them at school. Some may remember them for the activities they participated in. Others we may remember for their laugh, their compassion, or just how they made us feel. But make no mistake, we will remember. And if we could talk to them now?
I would say, you are remembered. You'll be forever in the hearts of your families and friends. There are many important foundations and prevention efforts that are being made in your honor. And your loved ones are doing the best they can in going on with their lives in a meaningful way. And your loved ones have sought out the help and counseling they need, whether that be through places of worship or whether that be through mental health services. And your Parkland community cares and has increased connections and will never forget.
We are left with their memories, the knowledge that though their time was short, the world is better for having had them here. We are left with the inspiration they still give us anytime we reach for it. And we are left filled with light, because one day we were so broken that the light came pouring in, and that has changed us forever.